Threat Place is the cleanest, most customizable, and simplest all-in-one UI in all of World of Warcraft. I have tested them literally all, and this is the one that I am staking my claim on. I spent hours doing all of this so that you guys don't have to. I'm the Dungeon Coach. I'm here to coach up that UI of yours and make it clean and efficient to increase your gameplay. So how am I going to do that? First, I'm going to show you all the cool features of this nameplate generator, then go through each and every one of them so you can set this up for yourself. Here's what I mean why it's the best. First of all, you can tell my health bars are a little bit shorter than before. You can actually modify the width of them. And if I click on the target, you see it bops up even bigger, especially good for threat plates. Also is not just for tanking. This has a bunch of stuff in there for DPS and healers too, for everyone. All this huge AoE pack right here, I can individually target bigger ones, and I can set it up to where they don't overlap each other, and you can see how they're all evenly spaced around and they're not overlapping to where I can have to click on different ones, right? And I can actually set focus targets to where it puts literally an arrow over that actual focus target. And I can set up boss things that change what the icons are and the names and all that kind of stuff and the colors. And for tanking, it actually changes the colors based on what you have aggro on. Or if you're a DPS, it changes what you don't have aggro on. So let's get into it. First up, to get this add-on, I use CurseForge for my add-on generator. You can type in threat. It's called Threat Plates. Super simple. I'll also put a link down in the description. How you pull this add-on up is you type /TP, and then it brings up Threat Plates immediately. And if not, you can always go to Interface, Add-ons, and then you can go to Find Threat Plates at the very bottom right here, and then you have to actually click this interface thing to get back to here. Either way. All right, so a quick tour of this thing. The general tabs, we're going to, a bunch of different options are going to be at. The threat system is actually where we can change some things depending on threat for DPS or for tanks. And widgets are going to be really minute customization options. I don't mess with a totem option at all. I guess shamans have fun with that. Who knows? Custom options is going to be an interesting thing we talk about at the end. All right, now we're actually going to start with the profiles. I think this is very useful. Whenever I first started off and first did all of this thing, you can see all of my custom options right here. When I first did that, I typed in test, right? Or I called mine DC 5.5, Dungeon Coach 5.5. I've gone through multiple iterations of UIs in this whole journey. So click OK, and it creates you a new template. Yours will be the base one, and you create it, and it'll still be the same default template. But you can then either delete profiles or copy from. So this is a brand new template. I can then copy from DC 5.5, and now it matches everything up. So I like to have a profile for all of my add-ons called the same thing, and then whenever I go into a new character or log into a different character, I can just go to profiles, and then it matches up entirely. I don't have to remember the name of it or go to what was it, my Demon Hunter or Dalaran or all this other type of stuff, right? So now this test profile is exactly the same as my main profile, but I can mess it up here for this video with you guys just in case I screw something up. So general tab, visibility, I'm going through all of this. These default are not shown, but I'm going to show these because I do want to see nameplates and friendly nameplates. Let me show you a NPC over here. This is what it looks like for players now. You see how the player, that's a Demon Hunter with the little purple there, and I can go over here. There's another Demon Hunter right there. There's a mage right there, and I can tell that based on the color of the names. It's not a big, huge health bar. Oh, there's a paladin over there. See what I'm saying? So it's really nice text. It looks much more simple, in my opinion, than the base UI. NPCs still fade into the background. Other NPCs fade into the background, but at least other players look differently than enemies or anything like that. So how that looks like, I show them. As soon as you click show for the first time, it's going to show an actual big health bars, and that'd be really annoying unless you want health bars over all your friends running around the dungeon. I don't. So you can go to headline view or health bar view. There's a difference. Health bar view, this is health bar view. I'm looking at actual health bars. Headline view is what you just saw over here with these people's names. It's just a little headline, not a full health bar, just a headline. So you can choose what creatures, I guess you could have monsters be headline view instead of seeing their health bars. Don't do that. You can set and choose which ones are health bars or headlines. So for this, I'm going to go to headline view, and I want to have friendly players be that headline. That's really the only thing I select here. Everything else, you can see all of my settings here is that's all it is for the headline view. I'm just going to get that out of the way real quick. So players are a headline, cool. Everything else is going to be a health bar, but I can change that visibility here and show all the visibility. And then I click all of these things, because if it's a quest mob or some neutral mob that you would tag and you need to kill it for something, or a pet of some kind you need to kill, every enemy, I want to see all my enemies, and let me go for it. And then you can see all the other things. Unselect all of these. There's your visibility settings. For automation, I've left this entirely alone. Don't worry about that. Health bar view. Now we're going to dive into this for a second. You can change the look and feel of whatever you want them to look like. I have mine at smooth. I changed my bar width of these things. You see how you can have them be really wide or really, really tiny. I set mine, I think mine was at 95 or something like that. I'll just put it right there. You can also change the height of how big these things are. I think that's too small. I liked mine, I think around 11 or 12. Again, that's why I set up a test profile so I can jack with all these things. You can choose to have an elite border. You see the elite over here on the side. You can choose to have a special border come around the elite. I have a little gold icon, which we'll get into in a second, but you can change all of these things here. This is again, just the overall appearance. Smooth. I have mine, this be thin here. Background transparency, whenever the monster loses health, you can just leave it as black. All of this is pretty normal. Absorbs come in at the color. If as soon as they get a shield, there's a blue thing over it, and it has this like little striped horizontal texture over absorb shields. If you like that, cool, but this is where you can change that. And that's all you really need for appearance. That's a big, huge setting as far as the size of the health bars. Layout, I actually lowered mine. You can see how the health bars, I think they're too high by default. That's too high over the monster. There's a lot of dead space there. So I brought mine down, I think like right there. I think mine was at -15, but that looks pretty solid right there. I might lower it down on my main settings. You can also offset it left and right. I don't know why you do that though. Colors, these are the standard default colors. I don't really change much here, but these are my settings if you want to try and double check and copy that. Warnings for threat. This is good for a DPS if you're about to pull aggro on something or you're about to lose aggro on something. We'll get into threat more here in a second though. Health bar target. So these specifically has to do with health bars of your target. And for target, I didn't mess with really much of anything at all. Kept it pretty standard right there. So now cast bar, you can actually change the cast bar. I'm leaving my cast bar up at 120. So whenever this thing pops up, if somebody starts casting, there's actually going to be a longer cast bar than the actual health bar. But I like that because I want to see it stand out more when something's casting something. Smaller health bar is fine. It'll die when it gets to the bottom, but cast bar, I want to see that bigger, longer thing. You can make it even bigger if you want. And you can change the appearance of it. Again, all the same stuff with that. You can see, yeah, there we go. That's what the cast bar is going to look like as far as the width of it in comparison, right? And then you can go to layout. Again, change all the health bar setting or all the cast bar settings now for the layout. Spell names. I didn't change too much of this apart from the actual size. The spell icon is going to be whatever pops up on the left right there. The cast target, I didn't change a lot of this stuff. That's all pretty fine and straightforward. Colors. I kept all of these as default. I really do like the default colors. But there's all of that. Class colors, target marker colors. You can see target marker colors. If you want, whenever you have this thing, you can right click, set a target to the skull, right? So you can have it be, these would change colors. As you see right now, my target's not changing colors to be a skull attack because I love the coloring targeting system and I don't want it to be trumped by some sort of marked target. Because a lot of times I'll mark targets in raids. I'm usually the main tank or whatever. So I'll throw skulls and X's on things. I don't want that to just change the health bar of the color for myself or others or anything like that. I want to keep everything normal. And this symbol is plenty enough right now. But I'll show you what I'm talking about with the class colors here in a second. Now for transparency, there's actually something really big and cool here. There's different fade ins, marked targets, other things like that. I don't want to mess with any of this stuff. I pretty much leave all of this the same except for occluded units, right? This is really cool for the occluded units. You can enable this. And if you enable this, check out what happens. Let me move this down. So if you enable this, you see how everything's like normal full health colors. If I go around this corner, it blurs them, right? If I go around this, you see how it's more faded? Let me untarget. You see how it's unfaded? And if I come around this corner, whoop, there we go. If I come around the corner, they come back to, so faded, not faded. See what I'm saying? I don't want them to go away. You can set it up to where they actually literally go away. That's terrible for me as a tank. I want to be able to see things around corners. But right here, I think that just is a really cool feature that feels good. So I like it. All right, now for scale, this is all the difference in scale as far as you have the settings that you already set up for all the different widths and heights and all that stuff. Scale is just growing or shrinking, whatever it is that you're wanting. First thing is target base scale. I clicked my target. My target increases in scale whenever I have that target because there's a bunch of different things going around, and that specific target, if I'm trying to kill one specific mob or I want to see one specific mob's cast bar, because everything's scaled, right? So if some mob over here is casting something, they're going to have a cast bar pop up. But if it's my actual target, it's going to pop up. It's going to be even bigger because I want to really focus on the things I want to focus on, if that makes sense. So scale, I have mine at 50%. It gets 50% bigger. And you can also have non-targets. You see them, you see how everybody else gets small. If you select this, I just like to keep what I had my settings, what I wanted them to be, and then I will scale up my target. I don't want to scale up the target and down everything else because then where's the normal? So there you go. Only scale up the target, and you can see all the other scaling options here, but I really don't mess with a lot of the other ones, right? Names now is all pretty simple. You can have the names be as bigger or smaller if you want them to. Health bar view. Again, this is Health bar, I changed the font. I like this font better. There's a bunch, you can have bazooka and the names be like that. I like this font and the size. I didn't change any of the other fonts inside of the thing, but the names do, because that's the names I use for the rest of my UI, and it just looks nicer, I think. That's the only names I really changed. Is on health bar view, I changed that. And then headline view is the what we saw over there with all the other NPC or the player characters. But you can change whatever fonts you want as far as the names on these things. Status text, I didn't mess with this at all. A headline view or all that kind of stuff. I didn't mess with the status text of anything. I just left it all the same. You can see all the settings there across the whole thing. So level text, I don't like to have having the level text like 62. I don't care what level things are. I really don't. Name something when a time when you would care, apart from leveling. Once you're max level, I don't care what level things are. So if it's 61, 62s, I don't care. So I turn that off myself. You can turn it on. You can increase the size of it and it'd be huge. It's level 62. Who cares though? Who cares? So I turn that off. Rares and elites. This is really freaking cool. You can see this guy over here, right? I'm going to go over this guy. You see how he has the boss skull icon and this little golden elite icon? You can change that golden elite icon to whatever you want. It's super cool. You can have it be skulls. You can have it be a dragon, this blizzard dragon. I really love that, but you can see how it clips. It gets clipped on the side, so that's just unfortunate, or I would have used that one. You can have it be a star, which is what it comes for by default. Night face symbols. I really like the Necrolord symbol, and I superimposed it behind the skull because I thought that looked really cool. Because I ran into a weird problem where like I want the skull, but I want the other one, but where do they go? And it gets all clunky, so I just overlap them. So its skull is a boss, and then the elite symbol, elite boss, whatever. Cool. So that's what I use for those. You can change the size and positioning of them. You can slide it all around. So see, there's the Necrolord symbol. I can put it wherever I want. I'm just going to keep it right here. But again, I'm not going to mess with this too much because I can just mess all this up. There's the skull. You can change and make the skull huge. Oh my God, don't do that. That's stupid. Target markers. Here we go. Target markers. If I deselect this, you can see how, let me go back to this guy. So show in health bar view, you can turn these on. You can also reposition this to be as big or left, right. You can put it on the top of the mobs. Sometimes people like to put it on top of the mobs. Where the on top of the mobs is where some debuffs go. Because if you see, I'm going to throw this, you see the debuffs come up there. So I don't want these markers to go up at the top to mess with the debuffs. I like to keep it over here on the side. Anyway, you can turn them off, or I don't know why you'd want to turn them off. I like to have them on the actual mob's health. This is the color. You see how the color health bar targets based on the thing. Depending on, I actually have bindings set up to where I can change all of it. So you can see how it's changing colors based on whatever the thing is. If you like that, keep that on there. That's pretty cool, right? But I don't want to change it all the time. And skull being white, that feels weird. This is cool, but then sometimes your targets are already red or green. So I don't know. I don't like having the color, but you can. So there you go. And that was also back here on colors, and that's where we talked about with the target marker colors. So anyway, target markers, this is how I have it set up for target markers. Cool. Next one. I have no idea what localization means, so I've left this alone entirely. And then the Blizzard UI. This has actually one of the big things I talked about earlier over here. If you go to nameplates, and you can, I think the default of this is overlapping, and you can see right now how they all overlap. Let me go right there. You see how they all overlap? If I'm tanking right now, that's going to be a little bit, or DPS if I'm warlock, dotting, whatever. If you change this to stacking, oh, look at that. It stacks the nameplates. Now, I don't know, like, see how that one was like really high for a second? They're really high up in the air. Sometimes that might happen, but a lot of times you're moving the camera and all this stuff. And this is just a real nice little pocket of nameplates here. So I like that. If it gets too crazy and gets to like that one's really high in the air for some reason or whatever, if you don't like that, you can switch it back to the overlapping. But actually, I want to see this. I haven't messed with this setting. Is the motion speed of how quickly they move around. As far as I don't want the health bars to move around too quickly, because then I'm going to have to try and catch them. So no. Horizontal overlap, I'm fine with there being a little bit more. See how you can actually set it to where you go right back to normal. So I think that was originally up here. I'm going to bring it down. I'm okay with about this much, right? So we're going to lock in that. And then for vertical overlap, I'm even more okay with that because they are horizontal, like thin health bars. So I'm more okay with this overlap because they're skinny little things, right? So I'm going to bring this down to about here. Maybe the horizontal overlap I'll bring, yeah. So now that actually looks a lot better. Oh my gosh, I need to do that on my main add-on. Oh, but here, check it out. I can even show you all that real quick. Oh, /TPTP profiles, right? And I'm going to go actually back to my actual real one here. Go back to general, Blizzard settings, and stacking. I'm going to lower that down. So I'm going to bring it down to here, and then horizontal, bring it down to there. And that feels good. Cool. So then I can go back to my profiles and then change it back to test so I don't mess anything else up. Okay, cool. There's all of the general settings right now. So threat systems is now going to be things having to do with tanking and stuff. Put all these on. Click all of these buttons except for this one. I think this is what the default standard comes with. I really love this as a tank. Really, really love this as a tank. It highlights your off tanks if you're in a raid and you're co-tanking with somebody, or if you're in a dungeon and a shaman uses Earth Elemental Totem, you're not tanking anything anymore and you're losing threat. Why am I losing threat? Or if it's like a hunter pet, which don't get me started on that. It actually changes the color. So if I am tanking, right? I am the tank. I'm tanking. Anything that I have aggro on is green, right? I have the green. Anything I'm about to lose it on is yellow. Anything I've lost threat on or I don't have threat on is red, that's red problem. That's a problem. I need to go get that. And anything else that someone else is tanking that should be tanking, a tank spec thing, is blue. And that I can blue and green is all good, but yellow and red, I got to go get it, right? So there's that. Scale. This is interesting. So this is a bad example here because this is all just, here on this little training dummy stuff. Things with low threat have 120% sized health bar. So this skinnier health bar I have, they're going to be bigger health bars if I don't have threat on them, which as a tank, I want that. I raised that. I think originally this was at 100 or something, or 110. I've changed this to 100, 120, 100, 90, and 80, right? So that's what I feels like good for me, because if I'm off tanking it, I'm not too worried about the size of it. There's that, right? DPS, if you are in DPS mode, which let me switch over here to roles real quick, you can actually determine if you're whatever spec you are, how things are going to go. Because if I'm Havoc, I don't want to have things on me. So I want this to be treated differently. So this lets the role you are treat things differently based on that. So back to scale, this is where I have all my stuff set for scale. Transparency, things that I'm not tanking, or things that I don't have threat on, are normal. Things that I do have threat on, okay, cool, they're faded down, they're on me. I don't need them to be like as in my face, right? So there's that. Textures, anything that is this is more so for like DPS. If you're about to get high threat on something, oh no. I have this enabled just for the DPS side of things. There's all the threat colors. You can change whatever they want. Like I said, how you low, medium, high threat for the off tank, and then for DPS and healing, it's the opposite. If you're high threat, it's red, watch out, and low threat is good, right? So it keeps it all organized for you. Values, these are my values. I didn't really change much here, and then we already talked about roles. Now widgets is the final piece here to really customize. Arenas, I didn't mess with anything in arenas. Everything, I just want everything to be normal. I don't want anything to change anything too much with that. Auras, this is now, you see this little chaos aura thing, or if I start damaging things and I explode, and okay, so now I have all my debuffs on here. You can put all of these up on top of the health bars. Same thing would happen to the big groups, or if I'm not targeting it, you can still see that it's off to the side on there. You can see all the numbers on there. Awesome, great. So this is the settings for all of that. Another cool thing is anything that's purgeable or stealable. I'm a demon hunter, so I can purge stuff off. Is you can set it to be glow. You can have a different stuff happen to it, but change the glow color so that whenever something is, in fact, I can just show the toggle. This looks terrible. I'm just toggling a setting. This is not what it looks like in combat. This is just this type of glow comes up on things you can steal or purge, right? Dispelling things, you can change the color on that as well. I'm turning that off. That's just horrible to look at. And then yeah, this is overall, these are just the different settings I have. You can also do that in headline view, but I just usually keep that the same there. You can really get grindy and customize a lot of stuff here, a whole lot of stuff. You can block auras. If I don't want a certain aura to come up, I can block them right here. Debuff, same thing. Whatever you want to do to get super. I don't mess with any of these settings. You can change the layout, you can change the icon, where it's at, how big it is, the bars. Oh, there's so much stuff you can change in here. I didn't really change much in this one. I like the auras the way they are. They're great. Boss mods, really the same thing as far as boss icons, class icons, combo points. If you want to put the combo points, you can really change for like rogues and druids and all that kind of stuff. You can your resources, you can put the resources on these things to where whenever you're fighting a death knight or in PvP, you can set up stuff to where you can see all of that. You can show it in the health bar mode or not. Again, if you want to see it on their health bar, you can, and set up all that. Again, I have not set up anything. This is all standard right here. Experience, I didn't mess with. I don't care about that. This is a focus highlight. So as you can see over here, my focus, I'm going to set my focus to be this little guy over there. That is my focus target over there off to the side. You can change it to like little side arrows, or just a general glow on it. I don't think that's enough though. Crescent on the side, that's kind of weird. I don't want that. Stripes on it, I want to see the health, so I didn't like that. I really like the down arrow because it's like, hey, this is the focus. What's up? So that's cool. And if I am targeting it, it's a little bit big and annoying arrow, but I think that's fine. This is where I ended up being. You can change healers. Like, you can have healers be different. You can have healers have a different health bar and a bigger sized health bar, or whatever else. I thought that was really cool. I didn't mess with that. I think it's maybe good for a PvP situation or mobs that heal, but I already have things set up with the casters and mobs that heal, so I'm not too worried about that. So resources, I didn't mess with this one too much either. There's the settings right there for where mine is at. Social, didn't mess with this one. Stealth, didn't mess with this one. Here we go. Targets, highlight. So if you see right now, whenever I target something, you can see there is a outline, a white outline around it. You can change this to be this thing. I thought that was kind of another cool one, like these little arrows on the side. I think that's cool, but then the arrows look real nasty when I just don't think what this looks great. I like the way that looks, but as soon as I put the symbols and it's a bot, I just don't like that. So I kept mine. This is, I think, the default thin square, but that just looks kind of too robotic. I like the threat glow because, I mean, I'm targeting it. I know what I'm targeting because of all those scale stuff and all the other things that I have set up. So I didn't need this to be too in your face, but you can set the size and change the color. You can also have your color, like the target nameplate. You can have it be just always, your target is literally always pink, or change the color to whatever else you want. But again, like you've seen, all of these settings have really cool settings based on if I'm tanking something or not. So if I lose threat, if I'm losing threat on this, I won't know if I have this setting. So I don't really like that. As a DPS though, maybe you do want to change that to where it's like, I'm targeting this and you can really tell what you're targeting. But this is how I have set up for it. It's cool. And then quest mobs, you can have the quest mob. This is so nice as far as questing goes. When you're flying around, there's a quest exclamation point over, like literally in the dead middle over. It's where this little icon is. It's a huge exclamation point, and it's a quest mob. So I absolutely love that. These are the settings I have for that. I just made sure it's in health bar view because only killable mobs or whatever, and then it puts a huge marker over it. So done. Again, now totems, home stretch here, y'all, home stretch. Totems, I don't mess with any of this. You can change whatever you want for that. It's more of a PvP thing. Custom nameplates, I don't mess with this a lot, but I could see myself situationally if I have a bad experience in a dungeon, or there's a new thing or a certain mob I really want to track, and you want to have a custom nameplate for a specific thing, or maybe your friends, you want to give a custom nameplate to one of your friends. I think that might be another cool thing you could do. You can have custom nameplates. I'm going to use these humility's obedience creatures right here. You can set up a new one. So now there's a new situation or whatever I'm doing. I'm going to call this random one. Okay, cool, great. I'm going to have the type of this be a unit. You can have it be a spell. You can have it be like whenever something casts a certain spell. If there's a certain like spell in a dungeon you're looking out for, a certain boss mechanic, a certain spell in PvP, whatever, you can set up to where if something is casting this thing, their entire health bar will change, which is a huge indicator right there. Same thing with a buff. Aura is a buff or a debuff, if you didn't know the terminology there. So you can choose a buff or a debuff, and anyone with this buff has a different health bar. So that's really interesting as well. But for the sake of this, I'll show you unit, and the unit's going to be the target of this thing, Humility's Obedience, and we'll just say the target name. And now you see they all changed. Any creature with that nameplate has now changed. So I think that's really cool. You can enable that in instances or not, outside of instances or not. You see how it turns off right there. So that was cool. You can change the appearance of it, of what it is. What color is it? I want them to be hot pink. Okay, cool. So yeah, you can set up all of these different things with the different specific names. But again, this is all very intuitive in here as far as these go. You can change the icon of whatever the icon is, or you can take off the icon if you don't want to also mark it with an icon on top of it being a different health bar color. You could also change it to where honestly you could have the appearance of it not change. You don't change the appearance of the health bar, but you put an icon on it. So every mob, you don't change the health bar, but you do put a little icon over it, and you have this like warning icon if you want to have it be like that. I don't know if you want that or not, but that's another really cool option there. So about is the creators here, CurseForge, and downloading these add-ons. The creators of these awesome add-ons. Oh my gosh, these add-ons are amazing, and they increase the quality and efficiency of your game. They do get money for the ones you download, so downloading it supports them. I use CurseForge again. That's just the easiest thing for me instead of having to go through my files and all that. Let me know if you guys want to see how to set up CurseForge and all that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of people are fine fine with that. But again, I might be wrong there. Let me know. And then back to profiles, I'm now going to get rid of, I can't delete the profile I'm currently using, right? So I'm going to switch back to my normal one. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to delete that test folder. Wait, are you sure you want to delete the select profile? Oh yeah. And now I still have my normal one. We're all, oops, that's default. No. What am I doing? There we go. And now we're back to normal. All right, here we go. A couple things I've learned since the start of this whole thing is I turned these off actually. I have them bound to numpad on my number pad on my keyboard. Numpad turns on numpad 6 turns on the friendly nameplates, but when you're in a dungeon and you see their nameplates all over their head, you see their health bars, you see them casting, that's default Blizzard UI apparently. So I turn that off and it keeps turning back on, but then I keep binding it to numpad, so just tap it at the beginning of a dungeon or raid or whatever and it goes away. I have them defaulted selected here. Don't show all the nameplates, only the enemy nameplates, because the MP other stuff, that's what I do now. With that in mind, there's all the settings there. It's all pretty much the same as what you just saw. We're going to go to widgets though, and auras is what we're playing around with here. I really dove deep into auras. We'll talk about what this thing is here in a second. But if you go to look at appearances, right, show in health bar view, you don't really want to show it in headline view because you're not fighting things in headline view in general. You can have things set up to glow, and I'll show you that here too. If you press toggle, look at all these enemies. See all these enemies? It toggles on top of their heads, all this stuff. And this is the size that I like mine to be at. And you see how some of them are glowing? You can set up some of them to glow. So steal or purge. Now you see how it's off. Now anything that you can steal or purge is glowing. I'm a demon hunter. I have consume. I would want that to shamans, whatever that can purge things off. I want to be able to glow and see that so I know what's going on, right? And sometimes people might want to know that too, just because depending on what the mob is or PvP, PvE, whatever. What the heck, that's some sort of buff on them. You want to know, right? But you might want to really know with it being glowing. So I have the glow on for sure. You can also change that right here as well. First, I toggle them on and now you can play around and mess with them. So if I go to buffs, this top section here are buffs, the bottom section are debuffs, and this is crowd control. Those are the 3 different sections. Also in PvP, there's the class symbol right here, but you can mess around with that too. And if you do shrink the health bars, if you shrink them in like I've done, they're going to be floating out to the sides awkwardly. So you're going to have to bring those in. I'll show you that too. For the filter here, I do want to show, like, I'm leaving here all NPCs. I'm leaving it all like this. Showing the buffs, magical. I'm showing all the kind of buffs I want to show. I'm not really disabling much. There's all the settings there. Now, this is a conditional statement of things that I'm filtering out for buffs. So there's buffs, debuffs, crowd control, right? Buffs, debuffs, crowd control. So for buffs, I'm filtering out Challenger's Might. If you don't know this and don't run Mythic Plus Dungeons, there's mobs in there that have a buff on them called Challenger's Might, and it just says that they're increased power or whatever. I don't need to see that floating above their heads. It was super annoying. So anything you don't want to see, like right here, I can see like this little mending paw or battle shout, or if I don't care if something has battle shout or not, you can type in battle shout and you can add battle shout to the list, and you can filter out auras, right? That's what this whole thing's for. Blacklists, block list means, or blacklist or block list, it's the ones you are filtering out and you do not want to see. So there's that. Challenger's Might, boom. And so it's not going to be on there anymore if I don't want to see that. Cool. Now here's the thing that I did though for debuffs, right? As a demon hunter, I don't need to see what my debuffs are on the target. I really don't. If you, I AoE stuff, I have different things for that, and I'll show you that here in a second. But I don't want to see these debuffs on each and every individual health bar. It's redundant and irrelevant for me as a demon hunter. You might want that on your target for bleeds or whatever the heck you're tracking, who knows. You might want to make them bigger, but either way, you can change the size of all of these buffs. So let me go back to the buffs real quick, and you can actually change what these are here. So this is filters. Layout is how these all are moved around. So horizontal offset, you can see how they're all off to the left or right. I don't know why you'd ever have them anywhere but in the dead center. So we're going to leave them right. Okay, cool. Vertical offset, you can raise them up higher or lower or wherever you want them to go, and you can anchor them to the debuffs. So my health bars here, the debuffs are anchored to the health bar, and the buffs are anchored to the debuffs. But if you take out the debuffs, the buffs snap back down to the bottom. So don't worry about that. Headline view, again, I don't care about headline view. Icons. All right. I chose custom. If you leave it as square, you see how they get a lot bigger. And if you have wide, then that looks just real. Yeah, I don't know if you want that. Cool, go for it. Or custom. Now I've just screwed up my own stats. That's fine. That's why I'm in my test profile. So you can change the limit of how many buffs are in a row. I like I mean, you could do a 4x4. That might be a 4x2. That might be good, and leave it the limit at 8. The count's 5. The row limit is technically 2 because it never goes to the third row. And the max amount of auras you can have a ton of there on there, but I've capped it at 10. That's the default, right? So you could totally bring this down if you wanted to do like 4 and then limit the rows to 2, and then you'd only have, see the 4x2 right there? You could have that be the way it goes, right? Icon width, you can make them stretchy or not, and you can make the height, bring them in. You can change all that to make them as big or as small as you want, and you're going to be able to do that in combat. Put them at a certain spot, have some combat, change it up from there. And then the vertical spacing is going to be how far apart are they from each other, or how close are they to each other, right? You can also change the font and the text and the stat count. Stat count is this number down here, and the duration is this number up here as far as the top and bottom numbers go. And that's everything the same for debuffs. You see these tiny little debuffs? If your character really cares about those debuffs and you really want to make them known, if you have, let's say you have 4 things that you debuff your target with, but only really 2 of them matter, you could set up that filter and filter out those debuffs you don't care about, filter those out, and then you can make these 2 huge and you can really track them on your target. I could see that being good for some other classes, right? For myself here, I turn them off. I just turn them off entirely. So this is what mine looks like. I know what my buffs are. My buffs are not anything that I have to track like that. So that's good there. But if you do want to show them, you can make them bigger, smaller. You go back to layout. You can increase the size, move them around. Icon mode, bar mode. You can turn these into bars, which is terrible, and I would not. I don't want them to be bars. It's literally like bars above their health bars. If you want to do that, you can totally change that in appearances. You can do all the same stuff here. Icon mode, make them bigger or smaller. You can see they're very, very tiny right now. And if I make them just back to normal, that's about the default size they start at. Maybe that's a little bit bigger. Cool. But for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to go back to debuffs and I'm going to turn them off so that you don't see them. Crowd controls, this last little ability right here. You can show the crowd control thing off to the right. You can change the layout of it. You can have it be a bar, which that sounds weird. You can have it be a bar and it just like slowly reduces. You can have it be like that. I don't think that's too much space. Too many bars. Health bars are already enough, right? And then you can change the size of it. Health it anchors it to the health bar. You could anchor it somewhere else. You could put it below, whatever you want. Horizontal offset. You can see how, it's like lagging when I do it, because there's a lot of stuff going on. So I like to put mine just right next to it. Cool, done. You can also change if they have a aura around it or not, the little red outline. So all these options are here. And then that's it. And so there's also stuff as far as the class icon. I had the class icon and I scooted that in as far as that goes as well. And now you have to be in PvP. I'm not in PvP right now, but you can check all of these things. I have little markers and indicators for them. So to show you what's going on here, oh God, it's still in toggle mode. Go back to appearances and untoggle them off. So now we're back to normal. So, oh, hey, perfect. Thank you, sir. I'm going to fight you. Now I'm building up stuff and you can see I don't have any debuffs shown on the target. I'm going to do Spirit Bomb and I don't have any. So it's this purple aura right here. So you see this purple thing on my screen? That shows me the debuffs I have on my target. If I backspace out of that and I target something else, that thing does not have Spirit Bomb on it. This thing does. So I track my debuffs through a weak auras, which I can do a whole video on weak auras. That's going to be a bigger one if you guys want to see that. But now this is what it looks like, and I can just easily kill these things, and we're good to go. And if they had any sort of buff pop up on them, and we're in Mythic Plus or something, I could zap it off of them, and I could have it all there. And I don't have any messy debuffs over their heads. It's all super simple. And before I forget, if you want to kickstart this whole thing off for yourself, and you have all of this stuff, if you want my exact settings, I'm going to try and keep this up to date with all my add-ons. So these might change from what you've seen in this video, but if you want my settings from what you see in a more recent video or whatever, I'm going to have an export profile and I'm going to share this, and there will be a link somewhere down in the description, towards the top of the description. I don't know if it's going to be a link to my Patreon or something like that, or if it's linked to a Discord server. We are brand new, starting this whole channel off and seeing how big this thing can grow and get to, but I want to be able to try and make y'all's lives as easy as possible if you want to try and sync it up. But I don't want to just give you this. I want to also teach you how to use it and customize it to fit your screen. So I hope that helps. Back to the future Dungeon Coach. Okay, real quick, big changes. I've been playing around with it even more after making the video. I love these settings I'm about to show you right here. So I like the NPC. You see how the NPCs look right here? They just look very basic and boring. I'm going to turn on NPCs. That looks terrible. That looks terrible, but stay with me. Go back to headline view, and I'm going to make the NPCs have headline view. So now go to headline view. You can select NPCs. You see the NPCs in the back here? They switch back to a normal name, and then you click NPCs here in the front for friendly and neutral NPCs. So we have all of it, and this looks a lot nicer to me. But I found a problem. You see how my cursor? See how right now my cursor is hitting it, and I'm like way off of it. It's really annoying how far away this is, and it still clicks it. So also for the record, I also select this enemy units you can't attack. I'm just all enemy units that can't attack are going to be headline view, because if they don't have a health bar, I don't want to attack them. them. So if you go back to visibility and you scroll all the way to the bottom, friendly units, nameplate click through. Oh my God, yes. Look, see how I don't click it until, oh, there we go. I'm actually clicking the person, right? I don't want to click way up here. So there's that. Hope that helps. Cool. So I hope that helped get you accustomed to threat plates. These are the settings that I use for. I did a full all the way through this whole thing to try and get you guys set up, because I know it took a long time for me to look through what the best one is. And that's what I'm trying to do here on this channel, is get you guys more efficient, coach your UI up, or maybe you up with dungeon guides in the future. I have a lot of different add-ons here that really streamline the way everything looks. I'm going to do more add-ons for that. Stay tuned to all of these different buff things, different quest tracker things, damage meters, how I did all of this, targeting, where my health bar, all that kind of stuff. Let me know. Come on and join this ride in this little new channel of mine. Can't wait to get going. Peace.